Welcome to Singing Demystified. I am Cornelius of Voice Studio East, and I'm here today to talk about how to learn singing, where to start and what to work on at each stage of the process. I divide the learning process into 4 overall stages, roughly corresponding to beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert. We shall focus mostly on the first 3 stages, since it is these that will provide foundational skills that are useful to almost any style of singing. In the expert stage, on the other hand, things become more open-ended, obviating the need for a roadmap. The first stage, the beginner stage, is all about learning the fundamentals of musicality and of efficient phonation. At the start of this stage, the first goal should be to develop a basic chest-voice coordination, resembling a healthy, balanced speaking voice. This means you should set aside high notes for a while and work mostly on the 3rd octave range, practicing simple songs with a baritonal character. Try to let go of any tenseness, timidity, or fine control, and simply blabber out the lyrics on pitch. You should also be working on your falsetto at this stage, giving it a bright, speech-like character. It is common for the falsetto of beginners to have a certain quality of windedness, like panting after a workout. This is due to excess airflow, which can be curtailed by simply reducing the intensity of the sound, making it softer. This will also make it quieter, but you can bring the volume back up by brightening the sound and opening the mouth. Keep your chest voice and falsetto separate at this stage. Do not try to blend them just yet, or even to make them overlap in range. For the most part, you should be using falsetto for the notes from E4 and up, and chest voice below that. You can take falsetto a bit lower than that if occasion demands it, but be wary of taking chest voice too high at this stage, as you will not be able to do so without a rather drastic build-up of tension. When it comes to transitioning between chest voice and falsetto, an abrupt voice crack is perfectly fine at this stage, but try to make the timbre relaxed and speech-like on either side of that voice crack. The goal is to be able to produce a wide scale like this, with a voice crack around the middle. Having learned this, you have acquired a certain facility with the most basic functions of the voice, a blank slate from which you can proceed to further technical development. You will be able to sing a wide range of folk songs, Disney songs, and older pop songs at this stage. In fact, professional careers have been built without the singer ever advancing much beyond this stage. Hence, if at all possible, try to get some public performances under your belt at this point. Even something like a karaoke bar will do. At any rate, it is a good time to get over stage fright, as this will become more difficult the more challenging and daring your repertoire becomes. When it comes to the selection of songs to work on, stick with fairly relaxed songs until you're very comfortable at this stage. Next up, you will need to get the energy levels up a little. You will need to practice singing louder and brighter, which is to say with more sharpness or twang in your voice. You will need to work on giving your unsets a quality of abruptness, not in the sense of being forceful, but in the sense of confident spontaneity. You will also likely need to practice brightening up your R vowel, making it less of a dark R as in English and more of a bright A as in German, thus bringing it into line with front vowels like E and E. Above all, be animated in your face and body. The first part of the beginner stage focused on relaxation to relieve tension, but now you need to be more upbeat and energetic, even somewhat hyperactive. This will help you sing higher notes without going to falsetto, which is the next step. You should now work on expanding your range in chest voice up to G4 by singing upbeat songs by, for example, Shawn Mendes, Green Day, or Backstreet Boys. Something full of bright, confident boyishness will typically work best at this stage. As you do this, there is a classic pitfall to watch out for. As the pitch rises, many beginners become intimidated and, fearing a voice crack, will approach high notes in a careful manner that borders on furtiveness. This invites a lot of tension that is difficult to get rid of. So instead, I want you to just shrug off any voice cracks and approach high notes with nonchalance and that same spontaneity you already incorporated into your onsets. The goal is to be able to sing a scale like this. Now, for the final part of the beginner stage, the goal is to develop tender high notes. The danger here is that reducing the volume tends to introduce a restraint that hinders the efficiency of the voice. A little inefficiency is acceptable at this stage, but to minimize it, try to keep your face highly animated, much as you would for loud, upbeat singing, but just apply less intensity. And don't close your mouth too much. Indeed, closing the mouth too much is the most common error I see when people try to sing soft notes high in pitch. It is a very intuitive thing to do, but to keep the sound free in the high range, you must open the mouth even at softer volumes. This is also a good time to really develop your facility with musical dynamics more generally. As explained in my video on vocal tone, the keyword here is drama. There are various ways to build up expectation and then strain it with a well-timed pause before you give the resolution. You might add a crescendo during a sustained note, and then make the next note strike with sudden explosiveness. Or, for more of a seductive song, you might try to make your voice sultry and alluring. Again, many illustrious careers have been built on this level of singing. All it takes is a brilliant and captivating musicality, and, of course, a savvy sense of business. We proceed to the intermediate stage, which consists of learning mixed voice and using it to drastically expand your modal range, up to around D5 or so. There are 4 principles of mixed voice, these being volume, compression, twang, and narrow vowels. Mixed voice is most easily achieved at a loud volume, being naturally louder than falsetto but quieter than chest voice. However, this must be understood in relation to pitch. For example, a G5 in falsetto can generally get a bit louder than a G4 in chest voice. When people want to learn mixed voice, it is typically because they intend to use it to sing high in pitch. At these higher pitches, then, a moderate volume is actually fairly loud. High-pitched chest voice is found in belting and opera singing, but unless you are already a very seasoned singer, your loudest singing is probably not at operatic levels. Hence, what is moderately loud for a belter or opera singer is probably going to be quite loud for you. In other words, instead of thinking of mixed voice as something subdued, you will be better served by thinking of it as something quite loud. Both compression and twang can be developed with complementary exercises that automatically elicit one of the two while you work actively on adding the other. In the future, I will create a mixed voice course, but for now, I will simply give you a couple of exercises to work on. Here is the first exercise. Ni 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 ni. And here is the second. Go 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 go. The first exercise is for practicing compression, and the second is for practicing twang. To add compression, it helps to establish a slight restraint to your voice, like this. Notice how my voice acquires a pressurized quality when I talk through the restraint. For twang, it can help to think of making the higher notes slightly screamy. When it comes to vowels, the key is to keep them from being shouty, which would lend itself more to belting than to mixed voice. Contrary to popular belief, there is nothing inherently wrong or unhealthy about belting, but it is difficult to learn and it is not our focus at this stage of the process. So make sure the vowels do not become shouty. One way to accomplish this is to keep the mouth opening fairly narrow horizontally, though you should still let it open vertically as you ascend in pitch. And for the very high notes, you can allow it to spread a little horizontally as well. It may also help to slur the vowels a bit, or even replace open vowels with closed vowels, with o with o, etc. Mixed voice is really something you can refine almost endlessly, but describing this process in detail is beyond the scope of this video. There are, however, 2 additional pointers I really must give you. First, do not try to actively control the dynamics of mixed voice too much. The restrained quality prevents the volume from being too high, especially low in pitch, but the need to stay out of falsetto prevents it from being too quiet, especially high in pitch. Thus, the volume of mixed voice is constrained within narrow bounds. You must allow the volume to rise with the pitch, even to the point of letting mixed voice become outright belty sounding. If you want a mellower sound, you might try to add a crying quality or raising the larynx, but let the reduction in volume come as a byproduct rather than trying to force it. Secondly, keep your chest voice and mixed voice fairly separate. That is, try to make the transitions sudden rather than gradual, and make sure you land back in chest voice when descending in pitch, rather than dragging mixed voice down with you. The goal should be to learn how to sing a wide scale in modal voice, like this. We now arrive at the 3rd stage, and the last that will be covered in this video, namely the advanced stage. The advanced stage consists of revisiting the fundamentals, separating chest voice into chest register and call register, resulting in a wider dynamic range, less tension, and even finer dynamic control. I had originally thought to place this stage earlier in the process, before the work on mixed voice, but experience has taught me that people tend to be intimidated by the E4 to G4 range if it is literally the top of their modal range. And I've found that this intimidation makes it considerably harder to remove residual tension from chest voice. For this reason, I have decided to teach mixed voice first in the usual case. But if you are not having much luck with it, you might try skipping to this stage and returning to mixed voice later. So far, we have chest voice and mixed voice. We are now trying to introduce an intermediate register lying in between these two, namely call register. Call register is shouting. I don't mean that it resembles shouting, I mean that it literally consists of shouting on pitch, and the easiest way to find it is to simply shout out loud, but jovially, as if calling out to a friend from across the street. Hey! Yo! From here, you can practice doing a little riff like this. Yo! Make sure to stick with the vowels o and for the time being, and don't take it higher than G-sharp 4 at the very most. A helpful cue can be to imagine that there is a block of wood between your molars, keeping them separate and creating vertical space in your oral cavity between the tongue and palate. The goal was to split up our chest voice into chest register, a speaking voice, and call register, a shouting voice. This we will do with a single exercise aimed at developing greater contrast between these two. I call it the golden registration exercise, and it goes like this. That's using the vowel e at the bottom and at the top. But you can also do a to o, and at higher pitches you can even do a to o. Just practicing this exercise and emphasizing the contrast between the sharp focus of chest register and the cavernous opulence of call register will tend to improve both registers considerably, but we run into problems with closed vowels. Here, you could just use mixed voice, but you can get a freer, more efficient sound and a wider dynamic range by taking chest register up in pitch, letting its sharp, buzzing character serve as your guiding light as you ascend in pitch. It will get more daring as you ascend in pitch, but you must not try to fight this. Instead, you must learn to become bold, even fearless in your singing, which will also serve you well as you proceed to more advanced vocal techniques. But at this stage, we still need mixed voice for the high range, starting from A4. Therefore, we must now learn to transition from chest register to mixed voice, passing through call register along the way. To this end, we can extend the exercise from before, adding a mixed voice note at the top. So now the exercise goes from e to and then to at the top. You can also try just sliding up like this, passing through call register along the way. You may perceive a certain reversal happening as you go from call register to mixed voice. Call register will usually feel like a broadening of the voice, and mixed voice will feel like a narrowing. If you have successfully followed the process so far, you should be able to learn this scale, passing from chest register to call register, and then to mixed voice at the top. You now have a chest register, a falsetto, a mixed voice, and a call register, giving you a great deal of versatility as a singer and a very strong foundation for further study of vocal technique. From here, you can really go anywhere. You can learn how to belt higher than G4, you can learn how to take your mixed voice higher, learn pharyngeal voice as an alternative to mixed voice for light singing, or even learn to produce an opulent head register for soprano or countertenor singing. And here the roadmap ends. In the following weeks, I will upload videos going over each register one by one, including the more advanced registers not covered in this video. For now, let us end by summarizing each stage of the process outlined in this video. Firstly, practice register isolation to develop an efficient chest voice and falsetto, paying no mind to any voice cracks that might happen when you switch between them. Secondly, raise the overall energy level by working on upbeat songs and brighter exercises. Thirdly, practice mixed voice to expand your modal range all the way up to D5 or so. Make sure to land back in chest voice when you descend in pitch, though. Fourthly, subdivide chest voice into chest register and call register, which is to say that you must learn to shout in an efficient, sonorous manner, and practice developing a sharper contrast between that and the speech-like quality of your chest register. Finally, practice transitions from chest register to call register and to mixed voice at the top, and back again. Once you have got the hang of this registration pathway and can produce it reliably, you will have a very strong technical foundation. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment down below. If you wish to get in touch, you can click the link in the description to join my Discord server, or visit my website at voicestudioeast.com, where you can also book lessons with a 50% discount available on your first booking. Stay tuned, remember to like and subscribe for more content, and as always, thanks for watching.